Hi, everybody.
I actually checked that time.
I was going to say, I don't know if you have a smile on your face. I wasn't sure if you're just like guessing and not telling me again.
I guess, but the guess is typically
You're
correct.
always spot on.
So,
Yeah, it's pretty
been doing
amazing.
this long enough.
It's a gift. Hi, Sam.
Hi.
I like that the Sams are back.
I'll see you last
Before,
week.
oh, did we just freeze?
Let me check.
Is Mercury retrograde? Because I need this to stop. These technical difficulties. All right. Real quickly, land acknowledgement. I want to acknowledge the traditional ancestral lands of the Tongvan people on which Sam, our guest, and I are all on in the Los Angeles area. And I hope those of you outside of the LA area take a moment to acknowledge the ancestral lands in which you are on. I read my fact today about the Tongvan people. It's kind of sad, actually. So
Uh-oh.
I know. I don't necessarily want to have a downer, but they're part of the lost treaties and tribes. And that always makes me sad. That was what I learned today. Yeah, that's hard.
What a great way to start this
I know.
episode.
Yeah, this is gonna be a great, happy episode. Hope everyone's getting their vaccines.
Yeah.
That's positive.
My mom actually just got her first one yesterday, I think.
Yay! Good for mom.
Yeah.
I think I'll be on the eligible group that starts in November.
Perfect. Right around the corner.
I think it's sooner than that, but what announcements do we have, Sam?
Well, as always, we have the virtual theater series. The current show going right now is Surf's Up, which premiered last Sunday to great acclaim and box office success.
Yes, it
And
did.
it was
It's so
really
good.
funny. I really enjoy it.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
the Surf's Up was written by Ken Levine and was directed by Allison Gould, and it stars Chris Morrison and Glory Bibubile Shimanga.
And I
So
think
it's really funny. It's really sweet.
it's
Really
very funny. Yes, all of the above. And I think the viewership that keeps rising is because I keep watching it.
honestly, it's really I've really enjoyed.
I watched
watching
it 4 times.
If you haven't watched it, make sure after their KP Live tonight to go watch it.
Yes, please.
And
what's
then
after that?
coming up next in our virtual theater series is going to be State of Independence, which was written by Paul Coster and is going to be directed by Susan Weisbarth. That's going to be available starting on March 25th and will no longer be until April 25th. So you have, once again, a whole month to watch it.
Yeah.
And the cast of that one is Jessica Plotton, Michael Hovance, and Jack Matita. So that's going to be really fun.
All 3 excellent actors. I'm really excited about this.
Me too.
I directed it, Michael, and An Ideal Husband, and he was
Ooh.
fantastic.
Yeah.
It was one of those moments where I walked out and Oscar Wilde was sitting in my lobby, and I was like, please be good, because
Mhm.
you have to cast him. He's Oscar Wilde. And then he was great. Thank goodness. And then, so let me announce for our virtual series submissions, our new guidelines. I'm not going to read through all of these. The thing is up there. You can see it. We've extended the time to 30 minutes. We just need it to work with Zoom. So just, whatever whatever you're writing needs to be able to be sold in the Zoom platform, because that's what theater is right now. We are actively welcoming all submissions, especially including those written by and for artists of all ethnicities, genders, faiths, identities, ages, and orientations. Accepted plays will be performed live or you can record it.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I should say and. Oh, no, or. Yes, and or. You don't have to do it live. But they will all be recorded.
Yeah, they will all be recorded.
That is happening.
But it's your choice if you'd like to perform it live
Correct.
at our membership meeting.
And the deadline for submission is April 15th. So make sure and email,
Have a little bit
please.
of time. I'll have a little bit of time if you want to whip something up real quick.
Yeah, you got a couple months. Submit at plays@kentwoodplayers.org.
Awesome.
Yeah, so yay, we're accepting more plays. Send us more plays. I'm excited that they can be longer now, because I would like Ken Levine to write a full series, and I hope NBC's already calling him about Surf's Up.
Me too.
Because I think Surf's Up is the makings of a fun. It's almost a pilot, And then we get the whole journey with them. I'm not gonna say more.
It feels like it would be like a really funny, like family-oriented kind of comedy that I'd love to watch, especially with our current cast.
Yes. So I hope NBC's already called Ken who wrote Cheers and Frasier.
Yes.
NBC, get on this. All right. Yeah. What else? Do you have a thing for Lefty?
I do have a thing. Sean Lefty Plunkett, as some of you may know him, is releasing a short film through his production company, The Left Hand Productions. It's called Threshold, and it was written, I'm getting the information up. It was written by Jeremy Palmer, who we had on a few weeks ago from 3 Syllables of Shame, directed by Sean Plunkett, and it will be starring Elliot Plunkett, Michelle Seelan, Courtney Schaefer, Lindsay Palmer, and Peter Miller. And that is going to be premiering on YouTube as like a premiere kind of thing on March 6th. What time? Great question. It's going to be at March 6th. I can actually get that right now.
Yay. I'm excited and also super jealous that they get to work with Elliot Plunkett.
He is wonderful. Have we had him on the show yet?
Yeah, he's been on the show multiple times because he won a bunch of awards.
Oh, okay. That might have been that like month that it was gone. Might have
been. Also, just so we all know, Mario Rocha has informed me that it's the full moon, and so that explains what's going on.
Gotcha.
That explains that. And our last announcement for today is Susie Mattai's acting classes. And this time we're adding fun for the whole family because you can take it with your whole family, adults and kids. She's got sessions so that you can actually be working with somebody because they'll be in your household. I think that's brilliant. And I'm putting the link in right now, maybe. I guess I didn't copy it. Oh, I did. Okay. And there you go. Yay. So now let's get to our guest, who I'm very excited to talk to again.
I have actually never met this guest before, so I'm really excited to get to know more about this person.
Yes. He is a terrific, fantastic actor. I got to know him as I was fangirling out during the production of Raisin in the Sun. And then the following season, he starred in Clybourne Park. Excellent show, excellent production. One of my favorite shows, an excellent production. So let's bring on Damon Rutledge.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, you're muted.
How you guys doing?
Good, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here. This is awesome.
Yay. And I hope we've entertained you with all of our crazy technical difficulties.
Yes, I'm sitting over here just laughing, listening to you doing the intro over and over again, only to realize that it wasn't working. So
Yeah, you're welcome for that. Oh my goodness. Damon, I am so excited to sit down and learn a little bit more about you. As I said in your intro, completely fangirled out doing Raisin. I don't know how many times I saw that show. I know some people are like, Samantha, you were just there to flirt with Gene, but no, I actually loved the show. So I'm so curious about you. Can you give us a little Reader's Digest version about where you're from and how you got into acting?
So, first off, I love this question. So I'm born and raised in LA, right? So my mom is out here she moved out here from Missouri, came out here to be an actress. So when I was born, naturally, she still had that passion inside her. So she sent me to South Bend, Indiana for one summer, like to live with my grandmother. Of course, that summer turned into 2 years, but we won't talk about that. I've still got to pay a therapist to go over that, but that's a whole different subject. So I'm out there at my grandmother's house one day, and I get an envelope from my mom, and it's a script to the play A Raisin in the Sun, which she was doing back in the day. So she said that she was doing this play. There was a role for a little boy. She wanted me to memorize his lines. And when I came back, I was going to audition for it. So I was all super excited. I was like, okay, let's go. Like my aunt in the middle of South Bend, Indiana, never known anything about theater. She was going over the lines with me and we would rehearse every day. So this went on for about a month, learned all the lines. Then I came back here to LA, went to rehearsal with my mom, and the role was already cast.
No.
Now, not to, no, no. There's a happy ending though.
Okay.
So we
Okay.
get there. We come to the rehearsal. The director, legendary director by the name of Hal DeWitt, he's phenomenal. They're like, yeah, we've already cast the role. So I go to the stage manager and I say every single line of Travis. I just go, Dad, can I have it? And I tell them every single line. And at that point, they have no choice but to cast me because my mom is in the show and I've just said every line. So they look pretty silly by not casting me.
Oh my
And
God.
that was my introduction to theater. Like once I got there, like it was just like, let's go.
There are
Let's do
so
it.
many lessons in this about
Yeah.
like,
I have a question. What happened to the other kid?
So actually, it's funny because he and I ended up going to school later. So what they did was they just like they split the performances. So he
Okay.
did like a performance on Friday and Sunday, then I would do Saturday, and the next week we would split.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, yeah, it was funny. It was
Awesome.
cool.
okay, I feel better knowing that you both got to do it and then nobody
Yeah,
That was,
missed
yeah.
out.
that was why I was wondering.
I have
like,
to
okay.
I have to say, Glory has commented quite a bit on this subject. We got a play-by-play from the reactions, and they were all the same reactions Sam and I were having with the no, what? So she just wrote them all out. So thank you, Glory, for your support. What a great story. And I just those shows though about being prepared, being persistent, even at such a young age, knowing your craft, that is amazing.
Yeah.
And so you just caught the bug and then that was it. You've been doing theater ever since.
Just caught the bug, and like my mom kind of planned it. I grew up in a poor little neighborhood called the Jungle, and so instead of allowing my friends and I to get in trouble, she would actually have commercial classes in our living room.
Oh my
So she would go to
gosh.
like an acting class and get scripts, and then she'd come back and we'd read the scripts and we'd like just do these little
Wow.
like scenes or whatever in the living room. So yeah, that was my introduction. That's how I got into it, and now there's no turning back.
No, there's none. I fully agree. Your mom is brilliant, by the way. And I hope all parents out there just jotted that down because I know I'm making a note.
And I'm certain my mom would agree with you.
That's just, it really is brilliant. And I have to say, theater for me is also the thing. I was just having this conversation with a friend that kept us out of a lot of trouble. We got into some trouble, but out of more trouble.
Yeah, and in theater it's a different types of trouble, but
That's true.
it's also funny, like just where I grew up, like people knew, like I was that guy. My mom was trying to put me in acting and all of this, so that actually kept me out there. Like, nah, get out of here, go act, go tap dance, go do some jazz moves or something. But get out.
I love that. Oh my gosh, that's great. And so how did you first hear about Kentwood and get involved in to come audition for Raisin in the Sun?
So when I say this, I don't want it to sound cocky. I don't want it to sound arrogant or anything. Okay. So I was on Facebook. I was in the Navy first. I got out of the Navy because I was like, I want to go back, pursue my acting real time. Because in Oak Harbor, Washington, there's not even a theater there where I was stationed. So that they didn't have
Oh,
theater.
wow.
So I was like, okay, I got to get back. So I was on Facebook and I saw that there was an audition for Raisin in the Sun, and it was coming up in like 2 months. So I put it on my calendar and I said, I'm taking this role. Like I claimed it as soon as I saw it. So like every time I got on Facebook, I would just look, okay, the audition is still going. Bet, okay. All right, 2 weeks before. Okay, let me make sure I'm ready. Let's go to Samuel French. We'll get the book so that when I get there, they'll already know that I know the lines and I'm already ready. Boom, done. Okay,
Oh my
day
gosh.
before. Go find the people who are also auditioning and bust them in the cap with the baseball bat.
Right.
Done. Okay. So like I made sure that my whole schedule was cleared. I made sure that there was nothing because like that's an iconic role.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
so to have that opportunity, and it was just like I can't let this pass me by.
Yes, absolutely. I think. Oh, I just lost my picture. Okay. I'm playing with some new technical things because I'm about to show some pictures from the show. Yes, I know I'm very fancy today. I think, you started the saying, like, I don't want to appear arrogant or whatever, but I think that's just preparation and determination and manifesting. Like, that's what we're taught all the time. See it and already, I can't tell you how many audition classes, workshops, learned it at conservatory, everything I've ever heard, and it's always been success. Walk in the room already having the role. You have to.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
If you question it, they will question it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I have a question. Was this a role that you, when you had done it as a kid, was this a role that you had aspired to do when you were older?
No, because I didn't have that foresight.
Oh, well.
but once I came back, there was a list of roles, and I'm proud to say I've had a chance to perform most of them. There's Walter Lee from Raisin in the Sun. There's Fences. There's Othello. Like, there's not that many. So there's like a list of roles that as a black male actor, you're like, okay, I've got to do that. But not only do I have to do it, like, I've got to kill it, and I've got to make it my own. So this was definitely on that list. Like, once I came back and I was like, okay, I'm going to go there. Like, this was definitely one of those roles.
You mentioned Othello, and we can talk about that in a moment, but that was a show that was proposed that you and I do for a workshop, and I'm still sick that we have not done that. I'm heartbroken.
So why haven't we done it?
Well, our director left, so we should just do it ourselves without him.
Yeah, yeah. Well, first off, I never got that phone call. I never got that text or the smoke signals.
Did you not? Oh, this is a funny story I will tell you about then after the show.
Okay.
Because, well, it was our friend Drew Fitzsimmons, and he had all these great ideas about how he wanted to do this. We'll talk after. But I wanted to say, Glory made a comment whenever you were talking a little bit about Raisin, and she wanted to say thank you for your service, and I'm going to echo that. Thank you so much. I don't think I even knew that you were in the Navy, so I'm learning all kinds of things about you.
Really?
Yeah, and which is that's a huge part of your life. So
it is. It made me realize how much I don't want to be in the Navy. So
there you go.
Like, it made me realize how much I want to be an actor instead.
Yes. So, funny story before we get to this next comment. I was recruited by the Navy when I was in high school, and for my math skills, and they wanted me to do some engineering. And I was like, oh, thank you, but I'm going to go to theater conservatory. And they said, we have theater? And I was like, in the Navy? Yeah, he totally tried to sell me that they're very involved in the theater.
Oh, are you serious?
I promise you.
They'll say anything. They'll say anything.
Yeah, it was great.
And now it's funny. Like, nowadays, I was just talking. Like, you can't. It's a 1 year and plus wait list to get into the Navy now.
Oh wow, really?
Wow.
Yeah. Like, you have to wait over a year to actually to get in any branch. So that's just a sign of the times right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It really is. Also, Daniel Krueger, who played Carl Linder in Raisin, you know Daniel, obviously. He said, so great to see you. Have you thought about directing the show sometime in the future, creating a full circle?
First off, what's up, Daniel? How you doing? Sam, I think you asked me that question too, right?
I asked you about directing, yes.
So I guess I just have to be honest. I haven't thought about directing. One, because my ego is too high. So if I've got a character on stage playing a role that I can play, I'm like, I can do better than that. I can do so. But also directors, like I've learned from George, from Harold, from a lot of the directors that I've worked with, like, that's a lot of work. Like, yes. And they've got a lot of thankless nights. And I know Harold was there at every single show. And Sam, you've directed, like, there's a lot that goes into that. You've got to know the lighting. You've got to know the sound. You've got to know the set design. And it's like, no. Just my life is so much easier. Just tell me what to say and where to stand. And I'm good from there. But
Yeah, I hear
yeah,
you.
I don't think I've never considered it, but I think I would probably do it. Like if the right opportunity presented itself, I think I would
You would
definitely.
try and, well, we might get you in directing a little workshop, get your feet wet, see if
Yeah,
you
right.
like it.
Yeah, as long as you guys teach me how first.
That's fair. Noted.
Because for me, like the whole directing process is okay. We're on Act One, Scene One. Go and just see what the actors come up with. So yeah, that's just me.
That's a style. No, I actually direct very similarly to that. A little, well, there's a little more to it, but yeah, I like to go from what the actors are bringing to the table. Absolutely.
Right? Because yeah, like I've done roles, and it's like the director's like, okay, stand here and deliver your line, and it's like, but I don't want to just stand right
Mm,
now. Stand here. And it's like, but I don't want to, and it's like it feels like it stifles the creativity process. But everybody has their own thing. They're like, just be somewhere in this area, or just be on the stage. Let's start from there.
well, this brings us to our next question, which is, what is your process when you are approaching a role and preparing for a role?
Um, so it's interesting. I think that like there's a style of acting that's just like method acting where you just embody this person. And for me, I think it's kind of like a modified method acting. But like when I'm deep in a role, I like to become that person
Mm,
and um, and really study like who they are, where they are. I did a play Fences, and it was a matter of like understanding what's Pittsburgh like at that time, what's going on historically at that time, what are the references that the character makes. Even in Raisin, like it's like how does this character approach the life? Like how do they wake up in the morning? How is a day at work?
mm,
So, like to really get into a role, it's like, okay, I understand how the character does it. Now, how does Damon do it? And in that character. So, I'm in Pittsburgh. These are my confines. I know don't cross H Street because you're likely to get lynched at this time.
mm,
So now I know I put myself there, and then it's just a matter of going with that. Um, I don't want to try to act like I'm a character, if that makes sense.
right.
I I think it becomes more authentic when you are the character, and there's a fine line, and the difference is it's a difference between just saying, "Oh, I'm Walter Lee Younger," and then there's a difference between saying, "I'm embodying this character." If
Right.
that if
So, do you do in order to immerse yourself into that? Do you do a lot of like do journaling? Do you do research? Like, uh, how do you flesh that out?
I don't do a lot of journaling. Um, One of the ways that I flesh it out is through research, and like I said, okay, how would I respond in that situation?
Hmm.
And then it goes from becoming how would I respond to in that situation to how do I, as Walter Lee, how do I? What am I doing? And that's part of that transition of just saying Damon would do this in this situation. And then just as you just gradually go along and read the lines and understand the givens, then it's a matter of what would I do as that character. And there's certain things, and that's the great thing about theater, like, and you may not discover it till like 4 weeks into a run, but there can be a word or a phrase that you say somewhere, and it's like, oh, that has a completely different meaning. That's
Mm,
what that means. So it's really a matter of just going through the script. Like, why did the writer put the word great instead of amazing? Why
right.
did the writer put the word hate instead of dislike? And
Mm.
so then it's like, okay, I'm seeing a pattern here. I'm saying this. I'm saying this. I am this. I'm saying this. I am this. And then it just naturally morphs into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I am currently going through a role right now where I have to say such lines as gee whiz and oh nuts and yikes. So I always love looking at a character and seeing what's like what makes their character them through the dialogue. I always think that's an interesting thing. So I have a question that's a little bit of a pivot and also a little bit of what we covered a little bit earlier. But
Okay.
do you have any recommendations or suggestions for preparing for an audition before you even go in? Because I know you talked about how you were like, I memorized every line and I'm going to break something else. But do you have any, like, here's my mindset when I'm going into the audition room and here's what I'm doing when I'm in there?
I'm a little bit of an asshole. Like I don't really talk to people at the audition. I think that they're like there as their distraction. So I'm just super hyper focused on the role. So like there could be a fire burning in the next room, and it's like, okay, are we still auditioning? Is auditioning? But all right. But going in, somebody told me one time at an audition, no casting director, no director, nobody's going to cast anybody that they don't want to work with, that they don't like. So the first thing going into an audition is making eye contact with everyone in the room. And sometimes, like I've been in an audition, it's taken like 10, 15 minutes before we even start the audition process. We just get into a conversation and we just start talking. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, we need to go to, and it's like, okay, let's do the audition. But especially as an actor, you're really vulnerable as an actor. Like you have to put yourself out there and be willing to trust the director to put you in a place where you're safe mentally and on stage. So you have to have a great relationship with your director at all times. So when I come into a room, it's like, okay, who's here? Like what's the vibe? What's the energy? What's my energy? I've actually called a director and asked if we could reschedule an audition just because my mind wasn't right that day.
Wow.
And like I could just feel like everything was off, like something was off, like, hey, can we schedule this till tomorrow or till just it's nothing, and then knock it out the park. But also it's a matter of a certain confidence. Like I don't go into an audition thinking I'm not the best prepared for it. I don't go in there thinking like, hey, I hope I can get this role. I go in there thinking, okay, when do we start rehearsal?
Yeah.
So,
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that also helps keep us grounded and not so focused on the judgment of the other person. Like we're just going in, we're doing our thing, and then we're walking out. And that helps not feel like, because there's going to be the occasional time that they don't cast us, and then we don't want to stick with that. And so having this confidence of just going in and doing your thing.
And with that being said, you never know what they're looking for.
Right.
So I could kill a role and then just be too tall, or my skin complexion isn't right, or something. So you never, and half the times I don't even think the directors really know what they're looking for. So if it's your time, it's your time. If it's not, it's not. But I just love acting so much that even an audition is fun. Yes. So I just enjoy the process.
Yeah, I think what you said about establishing a good relationship with the production team is such a great point, because there's a lot of times when I go into a new theater that I don't really know anything about that I'm like, oh gosh, I hope these people aren't crazy. So I think, and I'm sure that goes both ways when people are casting an actor, they're like, okay, I hope this guy isn't crazy. So I think it's that what you said about establishing that relationship, even with something as simple as making good eye contact with all of them, is really important and something that you don't really think about when you're going into an audition. But I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. Like I had an audition recently that I did in Fairfax, and there were like 8 people in the room, and I'm like, okay, I don't know who's who. Come to find out, the writer of the play was there.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, oh, like, glad I acknowledged you.
Exactly.
But yeah, so yeah, you know, you never know. And Sam, we're all crazy. especially to be in this business.
Well,
We're,
yeah.
we're all a little bit touched.
That's true. That's an excellent point. I want to say a quick shout out to Dave Park, who watches us every week, and his computer freezes every week, and then he rewatches it later. So, Dave, hello. Sorry, your
How you
computer
doing,
froze. And then also hello to Dwayne, who's saying hi to all of us. So, hi. Such a great friend and fan. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about you when you're talking about getting into the role. It's a two-parter. You're talking about getting into the role and really taking that on. So I have one question about, like, do you find that when you walk out of the theater, you're able to just leave that there, or do you take on elements that influence your life, your day-to-day life, and then kind of going in more specifically with Raisin. But it could be any show, really. What are the challenges? What do you find most challenging about taking something like that on?
It's heavy. It's heavy. Like one of the plays I did in Melrose, like, it was a really heavy topic, talking about a child who was a survivor. His father was murdered in the street by the police right in front of him, and just talking about police brutality, and it was really heavy. And there were times when, like, after the show, I would sit in my little dressing room area and cry. And like, I had to cry in the play. Like, it brought back elements of me thinking about my father, my relationship with my father, my relationship with my children and my sons. And like, sometimes it's just like super heavy and it weighs on you. But one of the things I've learned to do is to like block that off. Like, as soon as I walk out, okay, I've got real life that I've got to get to. I've got a wife at home. I've got children at home that, they can't just see dad super depressed and or whatever all the time. So yeah, that's one of the things I do. I'm able to block it off. But I think also, especially as a Black man, like, every single role that I've taken on, like, there's elements of just my life in that role. Right. Because for a lot of us, like, the stories are similar, the stories are real, like they happen every day. So it's not too far fetched to imagine, what you got to check, and you're trying to hustle, trying to come up, like, okay, I've got $10,000. How can I turn this into $100,000? And next thing you know, you've lost it all. Yeah. And it's like, that's part of the cycle of life. That's why I think there's so many great plays as Black actors that we have. And I know, Sam, you didn't want to get into this conversation.
No, I do.
But yeah, I think that the best plays are the ones that just can really take on elements of real everyday life and incorporate them into a fictional setting. Right.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up, because our next subject actually is talking about diversity in theater. And I think previously on the show, we've talked about things in two arenas. And one you just touched on, which is everyday life and not being defined by a specific ethnicity or race. But just bringing our ethnicity, our race, our culture, our heritage, whatever, with us to the role. But that's not what the show is about. It's not about our sexual identity. It's just about life. This person has a job and they're trying to do this, and, this climactic thing happens or whatever. And then on the other hand, telling stories, for instance, like the one you were talking about, the show you did in Melrose, about a subject that is specifically about what people are facing right now, that are, the police brutality with young Black men and women and children, sadly, or trans rights or whatever, that's specifically about a subject that is educational or just, we need to hear it. So, and we've talked a lot, even tonight, just about before we started the show, about the need to have it just be stories that aren't necessarily specific to race. What do you find is that balance?
It's a great question. I feel that there's twofold. I feel like you just said, there's stories that are political stories that really touch upon like what's going on in everyday life, what is like where we are as humanity. Mm-hmm. And then like you look at theater, and this is what's great about theater, is there's just some stories that are just great stories.
Yeah.
Just a great telling of an event that happens. And just to parallel our conversation of what we were talking about earlier, it's like those great stories, they happen to white folks, mm-hmm. they happen to black folks, they happen to Jews, they happen to Italians, they happen to everybody. They happen in queer life, they happen in for every gambit of what you can touch. So if that's a true reality, why doesn't that reflect itself on the stage? And I think one of the beauties of stage is it doesn't really matter what you look like. I don't have to be the most handsome person in the world to get a role of a father. Like on TV screen, maybe on a film screen, like I've got to look a certain way. I've got to be appealing. I've got to be a sex symbol with a great body. But on stage, it's like, this is reality. This is what happens. So I think we can tell these stories. I think we're pretty soon going to get to the stories where even we've got women playing men's roles. Like, so if that's the case, let's do it. Let's see what happens. I mean, people go to the theater to be entertained, but they also go to the theater to be entertained.
Right.
So don't just give me the same thing over and over again. Entertain me.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, that's the greatness of theater.
I think going back to the women playing men's roles, Samantha has been aiming to play Harold Hill in The Music Man, so she is already on board with you about that.
I was just about to say, that is my thing. Like, I was actually just talking about, we were talking about descriptions that people put out for roles, and a friend of mine is casting a production of Pygmalion. I actually gave her your information, so she'll be in touch with you because she needs you to audition. Awesome. But she's doing some really intentional things with it, and she's casting Higgins, which is typically a white male role, as a female. And she was saying surprisingly she's not getting many submissions for that, and that she's getting also males submitting for it. And I said, because I think people don't actually read breakdowns, especially for plays they know. And so, you know, nobody, when people hear, like if I heard Pygmalion, I wouldn't think, oh, let me see if the Higgins role is open to women. Right. I'm not thinking that. And I said, so typically I don't read the male roles except for Tybalt. I 100%, if someone's doing a production of Romeo and Juliet, I submit for Tybalt every time.
As you should. You should.
I should play that role.
And so, like, I mean, if you think about it, that's the way as an industry we're moving there anyway.
Yeah.
Like there was a move years back where it's not actresses, they're actors. Females are actors.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, you are. And so if females are actors and not necessarily actresses, if you understand the what I'm trying to say, it's like, okay, well then actors should be able to go out for any role because a great actor is a great actor. And we've had this conversation with a ton of my friends. My favorite actor right now is Johnny Depp. Like Johnny Depp can take on any character, any role, and you'll forget that it's Johnny Depp. It's like just great actor. So yeah, let's do it.
I have a few of those where I don't recognize them, and then like Gary Oldman, he's one where I'm like, oh, he was in that. And they're like, he was the lead, Samantha.
It's like watching The Darkest Hour where you're like, oh, that's Gary Oldman.
Yeah. It's crazy. Do you have a bucket list of roles that you're still dying to play? We talked a little bit about that you've done Othello and Fences. Do you have roles that are non-traditional that typically, I hate that we even have to ask that.
I don't have any roles that I'm looking like, okay, that's my next one, because unfortunately, like right now, and like if we're just gonna be honest, the gambit for me is our roles in August Wilson plays.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like those are roles. But I think I'd like the opportunity. I'd like to find a director. Wink, wink. Find a director who's just like open enough to say, okay, this is the character. Can you pull this off? And then let's just go on that journey and just see what we can do. Just see where we end up. Of course, Daniel Krueger would have to have a role in that play as well.
Yeah. Well, we have to work with Daniel. I love working with him. Well, we may have this option for you in Pygmalion. I'm telling you, we'll talk later.
Let's do it.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, you are ridiculously talented. I have seen you in a few, and it's true. And I've seen you in a few things, and you really do embody the characters that you're playing. And I don't want to have to feel like that, like when you're saying what's open to me right now are August Wilson plays. I feel like you should have so many more, like any play that comes off is open to you. And that's what I want to see you in.
Well, thank you. And that's where I want us to be. And I think that's what we're fighting for now. Like, I think I'm talented, but then do the powers that be have the foresight to say, you know what, let's try this role, let's do this, let's see what this is, and let's see where we can go with this, let's make a statement. And there's a lot of great and talented artists out there who just haven't been given those opportunities. Yes, welcome back, Sam. So yeah, let's get to a world like where a role is a role.
Yeah.
Now, granted, there's some roles that have to be based upon certain color, but I mean, like I think that you can do anything. Like that's the magic of theater. You can do anything.
Absolutely, anything. I completely agree. Daniel says, "I'm totally down. I'll play any role to get the opportunity to work with Damon again."
Daniel's awesome.
How about me, Daniel? Do you want to work with me again? I'm your sister. We had a lot of fun. He's a good man.
Yeah, Sam. Let's do something and get Sam in here too.
I will tell you. I will tell you, Damon. I'm not just saying this. I promise you. I have you on my list of actors to recommend, and I think of you all the time when I'm thinking about shows. I'm like, okay, we need a male actor. Damon. Oh, he's got to be 16. Okay. Can Damon play 16? He could probably play 16. Like, this is where my mind goes. So you're really great.
I think it's, and well, you force me to think about you every day. Like I go on Instagram every single day, and there's Sam pulling up something. It's like, hey, how's Sam? Hey, how's it? It's like, okay, it's Wednesday now. She's posted 30 videos. All right. But yeah, I'm always constantly thinking about you. But that's another thing that like in the theater world just doesn't happen. Like, how many times do we as actors really, really recommend other actors? Like, we're thinking like, there's an audition, I should go. Yes, it's for a woman with a brunette, but I think I can pull it off. Right. Like, how many times do we like really look out for each other as actors? And I think personally, from my experience, I've seen out here in LA, like, I don't necessarily know that we're really looking out for each other. From what I hear on the East Coast, like if there's an audition, I'm telling you, like, let's get it because one of us is bound to get the role. And if one of us makes it, then we're all making it.
Yeah, I'm 100%. That's
So,
kind of where I come from. And I think I lived in New York for a number of years. That's where I went first. Maybe that's why I have that feel. Also, I think all from my conservatory, I went to Webster Conservatory in St. Louis. And I feel like we have that just put in us during our training. I think of it for two reasons. One, I want people involved in the show that I want to work with. So I tell everybody I know for all the roles, I like think who would be really good in the show. Let's audition together. And then even if it's a part that I think we'll be in competition for, I'm like you. I'm encouraging because when one of us makes it, we all make it. I completely agree. And I also have really talented friends. And I know that if they get cast instead of me, it's going to be a great show. And I want to see a great show. So, you know.
One of the best experiences that I've had is when I did Fences at the Lighthouse. It came down to myself and another actor. His name is Louis, and like it was like, and this was a different audition experience than I've ever held before. We were all auditioning together in the same room at the same time. So like I would go up and do part of the scene, and then the director would say, "Okay, you sit down. Now, Louis, you go up, you do the same part of the scene with this actress. All right, now you sit down. Now so and so, you go up and you do it with a different." And so like we're all there and we saw what each other was, and we were going back, and like it was fun because it's like, okay, let's go. Oh, he did this. I'm taking it up to this notch. And he was such a talented actor. He's like, oh, Damon took it to here. I'm going to go here. And then it just made for an awesome audition. But the thing that made it the best experience, Louis came to opening night.
Oh, wow.
Like he came and he stayed after the show, and he's like, bro, you got the part. You wore that role. You did it great. And it's like, I've never had another actor come up to me and say, hey, you did a great job. And to be honest, I've never gone to an actor that I've lost the role to and said, you killed it. I have since this experience.
Wow.
But like, that's not just something that happens every day. Like you lose a role to somebody, then you go see the show and you're like, wow, you're amazing. You deserve it. So that was awesome.
That's beautiful. And I think that's where we need to be in that supportive arena. We all have to be in this together, especially if we're going to bring it back after the apocalypse.
Yes.
We need to wrap up. I want to say real quickly that Daniel did say, yes, of course, me too. So we're all in this together. We're all doing our next show together. And I love you, Daniel. And we're going to go to, I'm sorry, we have one more announcement before we go to our final questions. We have a little plug. It's a shameless plug for Daniel's production of Culver City. I think I have this wrong, but CCPT's reading of his play, which I'm super excited about that he wrote, which is on March 2nd at 6 p.m. And I'm adding it to the announcements for that's this Tuesday.
Yes,
I was thinking Tuesday. March is so far away. I'm like, we'll announce it next week too. That's this Tuesday at 6 p.m. Make sure and watch and go to CCPT's website. So these are our last few questions, Damon, and these are our fun, silly questions. So we have, we want to know what is, yes.
Before you ask the questions, I'm going to answer them. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Aretha Franklin. Silver.
Okay.
And Florida.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what. All
right.
Thank you.
Now go ahead. Watch. Ask the question. What's the first question?
Your favorite experience that you've ever had in theater?
Going to see Aretha Franklin in Las Vegas.
That makes so much. That's actually yes, and I'm super jealous right now. Your craziest debacle that's ever happened in theater?
Okay. This one was sober or 13? Was that?
This was sober.
This is sober. Okay. So when I was 13, I did a play at the Inner City Culture Theater, and I had to wear these crazy silver pants.
Oh no!
And I was on stage doing a scene with a young lady, and the character was supposed to come on, missed his cue. So it's one thing to miss your cue, but he just wouldn't come on stage. So like we were on there for what seemed like 5 minutes, and finally we're just like one of those things. We just jumped through it. We're like, okay, well, your mother's boyfriend is actually in the trunk, and then he came on. But like at 13, to actually have that, like where the guy wouldn't come on stage, and we're looking like, come on, let's go, come on. That was it.
That is the worst feeling.
Yeah, right. You're just stuck. You're stuck there. Like, what do you do?
You don't know what to do.
That's so hard to do, especially when you're like a kid doing it.
Right.
And you have
and
no
even for an adult,
experience.
you're like, as an adult, you're like, Like you, Samantha, were you there the day that Mamie came to see Raisin in the Sun and her phone went off?
No, I was there that day, but I don't remember. I don't think I watched the whole show because you were sold out. But
So, yes, we're doing the play, and in the middle of the show, a phone starts ringing in the audience, and it's loud enough where it's like you can't really ignore it.
Yeah.
And I was actually mad at myself that I didn't like do the right thing and just go pick up our telephone. But yeah, a cell phone went off. That was fun too.
oh my gosh, we always enjoy like crazy antics of the theater.
Those are my favorite. That's always my favorite to ask. But I guess Samantha was deciding to ask it today.
Well, it's because Damon just and he answered them. He knew the answers. Well, and then the best advice is that Florida.
Yes. So what's the question? Watch this, okay?
Uh-huh.
I got you. The best advice my best advice for the people in Florida is to shut down the city and go back on lockdown until we get through this COVID.
Yes.
I thought your advice was
Thank
don't
you.
move to Florida.
Don't go to Florida.
That's if I could give some advice, like don't stop. I'm at an age where people have like said, okay, you know what, my dream didn't come true, so now I'm gonna go get a job as a librarian or an accountant. Don't stop. Like I just have so much fun. I'm not an A-list actor yet, but like I just have so much fun and I love it. Like don't stop.
Oh, that is great advice.
Yeah. Gee whiz, yikes, and all that. Yeah, don't stop. Don't stop.
I think that is amazing, beautiful, perfect advice because we love what we do and we shouldn't feel like there's some criteria to when we can do it. It's always, we're actors. It's in our DNA. It's who we are and we have to do it.
Have to.
Yeah.
Or else we'll wither away.
That's great.
In Florida.
In Florida. Thank you so much, Damon, for being here and letting us talk to you and quiz you and learn more about you.
It's great getting to know you. It was nice to meet you.
Sam, I think I'm still mad at you though. Suck said you were still in high school when we did Raisin in the Sun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, this was great. Like we probably could have stayed on here for like 2 or 3 hours just talking and chopping it up.
We really could. I have like 3 questions I'm looking at going, oh man.
We always have such great discussions on this every week.
We do. So thank you so much, Damon, for adding to that. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Yay. And everyone, we will see you next Sunday. Don't forget to watch Daniel's show on Tuesday at 6 p.m. See you, everybody. It's our last day of Happy Black History Month.
You're right.
We can still celebrate.
Come on.
It doesn't have to be a
celebrate all
month.
year.
Celebrate every day. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we celebrate all year.
Absolutely.
I love it. All right. Talk to you all later.
All right. Bye-bye.